Hey there, curious minds. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a chilling, or should I say warming, topic. Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the ice at the North Pole melted? What kind of impact would that have on the planet, the animals, and yes, on us? Stick around because we're about to find out.
First off, let's talk about the North Pole itself. When we mention the ice at the North Pole, we're referring to the Arctic Ocean, which is covered by a thick layer of floating sea ice. Unlike Antarctica, the North Pole isn't on a landmass, it's just ice sitting on the ocean. That's an important distinction because sea ice behaves differently than land ice. At its peak, the Arctic sea ice covers around 14 million square kilometers, which is about the size of 1.5 United States. But here's the kicker. Due to climate change, this ice has been shrinking. In fact, the Arctic has lost almost 75% of its volume over the past 40 years. If this trend continues, we could see an ice-free Arctic in the summer within a few decades. But what if all of the ice melted? What would the consequences be? You might think that if the ice at the North Pole melted, sea levels would rise dramatically, but it's actually a bit more complicated than that. You see, because this ice is already floating in the ocean, its melting doesn't directly cause sea levels to rise. This is similar to how a glass of water doesn't overflow when the ice inside it melts. But before you breathe a sigh of relief, this doesn't mean we're off the hook. The real danger comes from what happens next. When the Arctic ice melts, it has indirect but devastating consequences. Sea ice reflects sunlight because of its bright white color, which helps keep the planet cool. This is called the albedo effect. But when the ice melts, that reflective surface is replaced by dark ocean water, which absorbs more heat. This leads to even more warming, accelerating global climate change. Now, with the Arctic warming, we could see some wild changes in global weather patterns. The jet stream, which controls a lot of our weather, is closely tied to the temperature difference between the Arctic and the equator. When the Arctic warms up, it throws the jet stream out of whack, leading to more extreme weather events like heat waves, storms, and even bizarre cold snaps in places that normally wouldn't see them. Of course, melting ice isn't just bad news for humans. The Arctic is home to incredible wildlife. Polar bears, seals, walruses, and many other species depend on sea ice for hunting, breeding, and survival. Without it, these animals face a bleak future. In fact, polar bears are already listed as vulnerable, and if the ice disappears, they could be pushed to the brink of extinction. Believe it or not, some industries are eyeing an ice-free Arctic with interest. Why? Because with no ice, new shipping routes could open up, cutting travel time between continents. This could be a huge boon for global trade, but at what cost? Melting Arctic ice could also lead to new oil and gas exploration opportunities. But tapping into those resources would only make the climate crisis worse. So while there might be some short-term economic gains, the long-term environmental cost could be catastrophic. There's also a possibility that losing the Arctic ice could push us past a major climate tipping point. When we lose this ice, it triggers other feedback loops, like the release of methane from permafrost, which could cause global temperatures to rise much faster than we anticipated. At that point, it might be impossible to reverse the damage. Okay, so the situation sounds pretty grim, right? But it's not all doom and gloom. There's still time to act. Reducing carbon emissions, switching to renewable energy, and protecting natural ecosystems are all crucial steps we can take to slow the melting of Arctic ice. Scientists, activists, and governments worldwide are working to find solutions. But it's going to take all of us working together to make a real difference. So, what if all the ice at the North Pole melted? It would lead to rising temperatures, disrupted weather patterns, and the loss of precious wildlife habitats. But most importantly, it's a wake-up call for all of us. We still have a chance to make a change and protect this fragile part of our planet. If you learned something new today or just want to stay informed about the future of our planet, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And leave a comment below, what's one small action you're taking to help the environment? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.